Today, got two things to go over. I'm gonna show you everything about the bed of this truck, where every hard point is, where all the strap tie downs are, all the great things, and then the one thing that I wish it had that it doesn't. And then I'm also gonna go inside and show you all the settings that I have. I'll just go through the menu quick. The different settings I have for my Raptor setting, the different settings you can do for the cruise control, turning off the easy entry so your seat doesn't go forward and back, turning off the back seat warning to tell you to check the back seat every single time you get out of the car, even if you don't have kids, things like that. So first I want to go through the bed of this truck. So as you can see, I've scratched up a little bit, but it's a truck and I'm going to get it painted or rhino lined, so I'm not too worried about it. First things first, these clips here for, oh, this is awkward. There we go. So these clips here for clamps. I was worried that this was going to fold up and you'd be on plastic, but when you push it down, you're actually tying it, you're directly on the metal up here. So you're clamping it straight to the metal. You don't have any weird plastic in the way, so you can get a really good clamp on it. So you just, I think that's great. And then you've got your measuring here. I had that on a different truck. I never actually used it. So when you get back into the bed, you've got these two bolt holes here. So every bolt pattern in this truck is 8mm 1.25 bolt pattern. So I went to Lowe's and bought a bunch of those different sizes. Here's one of them. So I mean, it's just going to screw right into that thread. And then you could put whatever you want to put. So I have PVC in here. I'm about to build a camera mount that I can use my 360 camera on the trail tomorrow. That'll be a whole nother video. So you've got two of those here. You've got two of those here. And then as you go a little further in, you've got tie downs right here and right there. Then you've got all your power stuff. You've seen that. That right there is just a light. You have exactly 48, well, a little more than 48 inches between the wheel wells, so you can fit a piece of plywood in here. Along the bed rails, you've got these 3 on each side, and they pop right out. They just bend and pop out. And then you've got these holes here. So they make fittings that go on there you can thread in, or what I'm going to do is just get a big washer and the bolts, put it up through the bottom. I'm not sure what I'm going to use these for. I'm sure there's accessories that utilize them. So you've got 1, 2, 3 on each side. And then in here, you've got another threaded bolt. So if you wanted to bolt anything, like build a brace back here or something, you could. You also just have holes, but I wouldn't put too much in these because it's just sheet metal. Interesting, as you're looking down, it actually slopes in a little bit. So this is maybe a ½ inch further than this. So if you slid plywood in here, it'll actually be held down a little bit. And then I'm not sure what this is for, but you've got this cap, and this hole, you're not gonna be able to see it on here, I don't think, but yeah, you can. It just goes through the back of the truck bed. I'm not sure what that's for. I mean, I can't imagine it's for drainage because you just drain it through the tailgate. So don't really know why that's there, but it is what it is. So now we're inside the bed. You've got another threaded hole here above the driver's side wheel well. And then you'll notice this is where the fuel tank comes down, and it looks like a bird got me in here. On the passenger side, it doesn't do that. So your fuel tank comes down, it's a little bit higher here, no big deal. So you've got this threaded hole, and then you've got 1, 2, 3. So you can move this thing up if you wanted to. And then you also have a threaded hole right here, and then that's just a blank, not a hole. Actually, I take it back. That is not a threaded hole. So you've got 1, 2, 3, those threaded holes right here, and then that. One thing this truck does not have that my Tacoma had and my S10 had was tie downs in the bed itself up near the front. So that's good if you have like a whole bunch of 2x4s laid in here, the tailgate's down, and they're really long, and you don't want the weight going out the back to have them tip down. Then you can just come up here and put a strap down from this side over it, down to that side, tighten it. So you don't have that capability. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, unless maybe you had like a block system you could put and then tie the higher ones. So that's the bed of this truck. I am super happy with really everything about it. And the one time I did have something in the back here, I had the stuff tied from this tie right here. I brought it back, came around the tailgate and went to that. So it was kind of like going over it, and it came out a little bit and went down. So it was super secure. The only thing, like I said, is it'd be nice if you had tie downs down in the corners on the base of the truck bed, but it doesn't. Not the end of the world. And then that's it. That's the bed of the truck. I'm super excited about it. My intention is to build this PVC thing. I have 1 1/4 inch and 1 inch PVC, and the 1 inch slides perfectly inside the 1 1/4. So I'm going to put 1 1/4 in that corner right there, going up with those 3 bolts. Same thing over there, and then I'm going to have a piece that goes across, and then there's going to be a T in the middle with a 1 1/4 going up to the top of the bed, and then the 1 inch is going to slide in there so I can have it go up and down. I'll probably have to create some bracing. I'm going to use some 550 cord to tie it down to some of the ties in the bed so it can't go forward. Get a pool noodle so it doesn't hit the light, and we'll see how that goes. So now we're going to get inside and go through all the menus. Okay, we're in the truck now. It's on. The first thing that I drive in my truck by myself more often than not. Right now, if I change the temperature controls, it only does the driver's side, then I have to go to the passenger side. To make it just single mode, you click on the little AC guy, just hit dual, and now anything I do on this side, it's changing the temperature on that side. That was the first thing I did in here after one day of having to go back and forth. Other than that, not a big deal. You've got your auto. That just means whatever you set it to, it's going to keep it at that. And then your different levels of auto is just if you're close to it, if you're way off, it'll set it way higher. It'll be more accurate trying to get to that temperature instead of giving it a degree or 2 of latitude. Your seat warmer down here, you've got 3 settings, and you've also got your steering wheel. I wish this was a hard button, because once you're driving and you're looking out the front, you actually have to look down here, because when you're driving, you might be moving your finger a little bit. So that's the only setting on this one. Now we'll get into the actual settings on here. So the first thing I would do is come into the vehicle, rear occupancy alert. I'm going to turn that off, because if you don't, every time you get out of your car, it's going to ding at you when everything else is off saying check the back seat. If you have an infant in a child seat or something that can't talk for itself, then yeah, that's probably a good idea in case you forget about your baby. Other than that, I just find that to be a little bit, over the top. Easy entry seat adjustment, I have it on. When you turn the car off, the seat will move back and let you out. The only reason I would turn this off is if I had a rear-facing car seat behind me and it was up against it, and doing this would bind up my seat on it. Or if you had a full-grown adult behind you, and when you get out, it's going to move back right into their knees if they don't get out before you. So I have it on because I don't have people behind me, and if I do, it's one of my daughters who's a lot smaller. It doesn't really matter. And then you've got settings for your modem, your remote start setup, windows, wipers. All of these are just, the windows is if you want it to open and close when you use your remote. The wipers is basically the courtesy wipe and the rain sensing. I like the rain sensing. It does a really good job in heavy rain. It does a really good job if you drive through a puddle. It does not do a great job in mist. So you're constantly hitting it when it's misting, but you'd be doing that if you didn't have it on. So really, you're not hurting anything by not having it. Courtesy wipe is when you wash your windshield. It'll go back and forth, give it about 5 seconds, then do one more when that one streak goes down the windshield. I just leave it on, not a big deal. Quiet start is it'll close the baffles on the and the valves in the exhaust from certain times. So right now you could set it up for, like right now, 2200 to 0800. If I start my car in between that time, it's not going to start with everything open and then close after 10 or 15 seconds. It's going to start with them closed. So it'll be a little quieter, but this is not a super loud car. I don't find that to be a problem. I mean, I have it on in mine. It's not that big of a deal though. You go down, you have your lighting. So auto high beams is pretty neat. You're just driving around. I didn't even really notice I had it on until one day I was driving. I came over the crest of a hill. Another car was coming. All of a sudden, my lights got a little dimmer, and I realized, oh, the high beams were on their own. This is the first car I've had that has that. And then mirrors, basically, if you want them to fold or not when you turn your car on and off. So like I said, the only thing I change in here is the rear occupancy thing, and then I keep the seat adjustment on. The next big thing with settings in the manual here is driver assistance. So you've got your adaptive cruise control, and in here, you could go to normal cruise control. I was talking to some people in the comments. One of them, professional driver, he said, The adaptive cruise control, if the person in front of you is turning in a turning lane, he might get over there, come to a stop, and your car will slam on the brakes because it kind of sees that in the radar, doesn't recognize that it's an entire lane over, and you might slam on your brakes without you moving your foot at all. Your vehicle might slam on the brakes. The guy behind you probably would not be expecting it because he sees the car in front of you going off to the side. Any sane driver would just keep going. But this car might lock up the brakes, and all of a sudden, you've got someone rear-ended you. That is not a Ranger Raptor thing. That is a adaptive cruise control worldwide thing. I don't find it to be an issue. When I see that situation coming, I tap the brakes so that the cruise control disables. I go past it. Once I get past that situation, I turn it back on. But you got to be paying attention for that. You also have your lane sensor or your lane centering. That just keeps you between the lane lines. It likes to hug the right side. I'm not a huge fan of that. It gets me too close to the car that's over there. So, and you should always be driving. This is not a self-driving car. It is an assisted car. And then the last thing you have is speed recognition, speed sign recognition. So as you're driving down the road, your forward-looking camera, which is in the up above the rear view mirror, constantly sees speed limit signs as you're going by, and it'll see it when it goes by. It'll put it up in your dash, and then if you turn this on, you can set your tolerance and say, I'm comfortable going 7 miles per hour over the speed limit, or you could say 4 miles per hour over the speed limit. So if you're on a freeway going 55, speed limit's 55, and all of a sudden it goes up to 65, it will automatically change your cruise control, if you're in cruise control, up to 65 plus or minus whatever your tolerance is. And then when you get down to you're going on a 2-lane road and you hit a city and it goes from 65 to 55 to 45 to 35 and there's a cop sitting right there, it will slow you down. And if it slows down fast enough, it will actually apply the brakes. So if it went from 65 to 35, the adaptive cruise control does have control of the brakes. So that's good to know. It won't slam on the brakes. And to be honest, it'll probably just coast down until you get going slow enough. I do not keep that on because on Route 66 where I live, there are HOV lanes to the left and regular lanes to the right. HOV speed limit is 70, lanes to the right is 55. If you're in the fast lane of the 55 and you pass the HOV speed limit, it'll see 70, and all of a sudden if you had your cruise control set at 60 and you're in the 55, it'll bump it up to 70 plus, I have it set to 4 right now, so it would bump me up to 74 and I would start going. Now, if the flow of traffic is 62, the adaptive cruise control is not going to run you into the car in front of you. It will stop, or it will get up to that speed and go with them. But if you're out there on the road by yourself at 2 in the morning and you pass the 70, but you're in the 55 and you have it set to 7 over, now you're going 77 and a 55, 22 over is a big deal, and you could get a pretty significant ticket. So I keep that turned off only because the one road I drive on most of the time has that situation. Speed limit assist is completely separate from your adaptive cruise control. If you enable your speed limit, which is a button on your steering wheel, and you are in cruise control, it'll disable that, and all of a sudden this creates a upper limit. So you have to have your foot on the gas. If you were going 20 miles an hour, you hit speed limit assist on, and the last speed limit sign you saw was 55, it's going to automatically say you can go 55, you can go as slow as you want, but if you have your foot to the floor, you will get up to 55 and then no more power. I was a little concerned with that. If you were in a 55, then it goes down to 35 and you had a truck behind you going pretty fast, all of a sudden it's going to start slowing you down. And if you ease your foot on the gas, it won't accelerate. If you slam your foot to the ground on the gas, it will disable that limit ability and you can speed up. So they did take safety into mind. In a previous video, I didn't know that was the case. So I said that, I won't use this because it's a safety thing for me. Turns out they did think of that. I just didn't know to put my foot all the way to the floor to disengage that. And then again, if you do that, you can also you turn it on, you go to your intelligent speed limiter, and you can set what you want it to go over. So whatever you have this set to, the next speed limit you get to, it will be that speed limit plus whatever you have it set. So I'm going to keep that off. And then lane keeping system, you have your stuff here, aid and alert, or you can just have it vibrate and it won't actually bring you back into the lane. That's completely up to you. Pre-collision assistant, that's kind of a cool feature. When I was in a parking lot, I was backing out and somebody was screaming down the lane. I didn't see him. I was looking to my right after I'd checked to the left, and he came out like a bat out of hell. And my vehicle, I thought I hit something. I hit the brakes so hard and this guy went screaming by. But without that, I mean, I probably would have hit the dude. So that's great. My only concern is if it somehow mistakes something else and slams on the brake when someone might be behind you and rear end you. Another thing I had happen in a previous car is I was backing up and the shadow of the vehicle made the sensor think there was a car and it slammed on the brakes. Everybody in my car thought I hit something. There was nothing back there, just the shadow. So just interesting little thing on that. Rear view camera delay, that just means when you're in reverse, it'll be on. When you go back to drive, it'll be delayed. It'll stay on for a couple seconds. Parking aid sensors. So this thing has the ability, you've got the little parking button to pull you into a parallel spot, pull you into a normal parking lot spot, or back you out of it. I haven't played with it yet. I'll make a different video on that. That cross traffic alert, that's what saved me in the parking lot. And then reverse brake assist, again, that if you're backing up, it'll stop you. And then driver alerts, not sure what that one is. Notifies you if the vehicle detects that you are inattentive. So yes, actually, I have had that when you're on the freeway and it's doing the lane centering in traffic or whatever. If you're going 2 miles an hour and you're just sitting there and the steering wheel is barely moving, after 15 seconds, it'll say, put your hands on the wheel. You just give it a little thing, it thinks you're there again, good to go. When you get into general, because we've gone through vehicle, in general, you can get into your lighting. So you have ambient lighting, you can turn it on. That just turns a light on between the cubbies in both doors. And then when you open the doors, it'll turn on your map lights and your dome light. And then your 911 assist, that's if it notices a car accident and you have your phone hooked up to Bluetooth, it'll automatically call 911 for you. You can set it to 24-hour time, military time if you want. And that's really everything I've done in here. Connectivity, you can set this up on your own Wi-Fi at home. So when you pull into the garage, it'll hook up if there's an update or anything. You can also work through your vehicle hotspot on here. So I did a video on that already. Real quick one about the speed of it. It's good enough. It's AT&T. So if you already have AT&T and you have hotspots, you're not really getting a whole lot out of this because you can just set a hotspot on your phone. I have Verizon, so I only got this because if Verizon's bad and AT&T is good, I can have hotspot here. Get further down, software updates, not messing with that. Ford Assistant, I haven't played with this stuff yet. Zone lighting, this is where you can actually, say override. You can actually go in and turn the zone lights on right now. So if we were out having a party and we wanted to have some more lights on, I could turn these on and turn on individual lights. So right there, the light underneath that mirror on the right is on. This turns on the bed light and the reverse lights. You can turn all of them on at the same time, turn all of them off at the same time. I'm not going to mess with that too much. And then this has Amazon Alexa. I haven't gotten started with it yet. I'm curious what it can do, but I just haven't had time to sit out here and play with it. I've been doing other stuff. So anyway, those are the settings, and now we'll get into drive modes. So when you, let's see if we can move this a little bit here. So drive modes, when you first get in the car, it's going to be in normal. And then I have there's an R button right here. So when you press the R button, it tells you what you have your settings in Raptor mode. If you press it again, it puts it into that mode. It's not focusing, it's focused on the steering wheel. So there we go. So right now I'm in my Raptor mode. I put it in sport mode, and you can see down in that corner, it tells you all your settings. So I'm in sport for the exhaust, sport for the suspension, and sport for the steering. And then the tune, the throttle response is really all it changes. That's a sportier response. And that shows right there with the S underneath the tachometer. If I wanted to change my mode to do, maybe I want it to be in Baja exhaust when I do the Raptor setting. So I change it to Baja exhaust. And then if I also wanted it to be comfort steering, which just makes it a little softer on steering. Once I have it set to where I want it, so down here, Baja exhaust, sport shocks, comfort steering, I press and hold the R button and it changes. So now if I were to go back to normal mode, for example, so I'm going to go back to normal. So now the car is in normal mode. Everything down there is just normal, and it's just the little car down there. So now if I press and hold, or press once, press again, now my R mode is set to be in comfort for the steering and Baja for the exhaust and sport mode for everything else. So it's pretty easy to do. My button stopped working the other day. All I had to do was disconnect the negative of the battery and reconnect it. I was doing a bunch of other stuff, playing around with the settings, so I probably did something just to trip up the logic in it, and it messed it up. But it was an easy fix. I didn't have to go anywhere. At first, I thought I was going to have to go to the dealer for that. That's really all I wanted to show you in here for now. I know this video turns out to be a little longer, so hopefully this was interesting to you. If not, sorry I wasted your time. Tomorrow I'm going out to the trails, so hopefully you'll come back and check that out, because I'm going to have a lot of fun with the cameras and stuff. And then I will also make a quick video on what I build to mount the cameras, just because I like building crap out of PVC. So that's it. Cheers.
It's over!